We're back with more on freeloaders. Do you remember the Shirley Sherrod scandal?
Ms. Sherrod must resign immediately. The federal government cannot have skin color deciding any assistance.
A video of Sherrod suggested that the Department of Agriculture loan officer refused to help a farmer because he was white. Sherrod then quit.
This is a Fox News alert. An Obama administration official resigned just a short time ago.
But then?
We now know that video was edited to take what she said and twist it.
I owe Ms. Sherrod an apology.
But lost in the hype about Shirley Sherrod was a much bigger story, one that's eating billions of your tax dollars.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
These protesters brought tractors and horses to Washington, claiming that the Agriculture Department loan officers did the opposite of what Sherrod was falsely accused of. They favored whites. This lawyer claims the department is racist.
If John Stossel goes back to wherever you might have grown up and you decide to farm and you go in to get a loan, you're going to do pretty well. You're a white man. But if you sent in a neighbor of yours who happened to be a black man to your local county committee, you're not going to do well.
Because they're all racist?
Pretty much.
So he sued the government on behalf of black farmers. The government issued a groveling apology.
We are requiring full civil rights training for all of our employees, starting from me down.
And the United States agreed to pay $50,000 to any black farmer who could show that the department discriminated against him. People in Congress said things like,
they need to start writing checks today.
The government is writing billions in checks. But farmer Jimmy Dismuke says it's a scam because lawyers told people anyone can qualify for $50,000.
People say, well, how do I qualify? And then they started talking about the potted plants. And they said, if you had a potted plant, you're a farmer. And if you have a yard and you fertilize, you're a farmer.
Dismuke showed us a list of people who got money.
This one is not a farmer. This one's not a farmer. And then you go on and on these pages. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Not farmers.
We called and left messages for the people on the list, but no one responded. Dismuke was discriminated against, and he collected $50,000. But then he noticed what he calls the fraud. Since the government had few records, it settled the lawsuit by agreeing to write checks to people who just said they'd attempted to farm.
And attempted to farm could mean anything. My little 3-year-old grandson could have attempted.
How could you lose? There's no way you could lose.
Othello Cross.
Jimmy once hired this lawyer,
Yes, ma'am.
Othello Cross,
Okay.
who's made money by filing thousands of $50,000 claims.
This is the termination agreement.
Cross says he only learned about the fraud after the claims were paid. People would come up to him and say,
Lawyer, John never farmed in his life. His daddy never farmed. When I went back and looked at it, it was true. Mm-hmm.
And so more than $1 billion was given out to about 15,000 farmers and attempted farmers. So many claimed they were farmers that recently Congress approved another $1 billion plus for more claimants. This farmer, who didn't want to appear on camera, showed us a building where many people who said they attempted to farm filled out claims.
They wasn't really farmers, but Al Pyrie made it possible for them to be eligible by coming in and saying if you attempted to farm, that you are eligible.
Al Pyrie, he's that lawyer who won the big settlement.
How many farmers have you helped file claims?
Oh gosh, thousands and thousands.
How do you know they're farmers?
Well, they fill out the forms, and we hope that they're telling the truth.
So you don't think this is just an opportunity to freeload, to cheat?
Although there are some people who cheat, most people are very honest. Most people are very, very honest. They're afraid to cheat if they're filling out a federal form. It's not quite what you think.
But given America's culture of entitlement, some don't even view getting checks as cheating. They say all black people deserve reparations.
If you are an African American, you're due $50,000 because your roots are in farming. You folk have already been cheated. You're just collecting what your grandparents didn't have the opportunity to.
After all, says the lawyer, the government is racist. He says the USDA
is stacked against minorities, stacked against blacks, stacked against women, Native Americans. It's stacked against everybody but white men.
Is there any minority that wasn't discriminated against?
Not to my knowledge.
So now he's filed lawsuits for all those groups, including the women.
In 1978, women owned just 5% of all farms. By 97, the number was up to 8%. Maybe you should sue for men.
For what, for white men?
Yeah.
White men don't need any help.
How much money will you get?
We were paid very modestly.
$10 million?
Yeah, around there. It was very low. And there were,
Low? I don't think 10 million is low. And Othello Cross says the total lawyers take was much more.
Somewhere between 40 and 50 million.
I believe the lawyers made out real well, and I think they was the winners in the whole lawsuit.